Yeah, hi. So I thought we'd have a quick dig into Andy Burnham's record as the Mayor of Manchester. There's been an awful lot written about him in the last week or two since he's become Prime Minister. And some of it kind of seems quite outlandish, some of it seems quite amazing. And then some of it I think is just blatantly untrue. So I thought it'd be fair on him if we had a quick look at what he's done, what he actually did in his time, and what he's sort of been credited with and not. So firstly, I think a lot of people, particularly left-leaning people who are not keen on Burnham, have put out this figure of £1.34 billion in debt that he left Manchester. So, like a lot of people saying in my comments about when I've ever mentioned him, oh yeah, he's left Manchester in loads of debt, and he's going to do the same to the country or whatever.
But he hasn't actually left them, has he? Because he's still there.
Well, he is still there, but the 1.34 billion came from the Telegraph, unsurprisingly, but it is sort of true, but they've just taken it out of context like they do with everything else.
Spun it.
Yeah, exactly. So what the actual facts are, well, let me tell you where it came from. It came from the James Cleverly via the Telegraph and the Taxpayers Alliance, that number. So all those three people together confected this story to put out this spin on the 1.34 billion pounds of debt. So yes, technically the 1.34 billion number is true, but what actually is the case is Greater Manchester Combined Authority reported 1.343 billion in outstanding borrowing at the end of March 2026. When Andy Burnham came to become the mayor in 2017, the same figure, outstanding borrowing, was sitting at £964 million. So currently, it's about 39% higher than when he left. But the number, they don't account for inflation in any way. Yeah, jeez. Exactly. I know,
disingenuous pricks.
So basically, it says borrowing rose rapidly to approximately 1.56 billion in 2018-2019. So it shot right up when he took over. But then it's fallen over the years down to 1.34. So it's actually, he's reduced it in the entire time he's been there by 1 year. So he left it basically about £217 million less borrowing than it was in 2018. So the 1.34 billion number is true, but there was no inflation, and he actually was reducing the cost of borrowing. And it's just a standard kind of city kind of level of borrowing, really, a massive city, so... so
it's
9 years of inflation.
It's not like done a Tory or anything.
Sorry?
It's not like he's done a Tory or anything.
No, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, basically GMCA borrowing was higher in 2017 than in 2017, but has fallen substantially from its 2019 peak. So, as with all these things that we see on social media, there is a kernel of truth, but actually it's completely irrelevant, really, what they're trying to paint him into this corner of piling up mountains of debt in Manchester. So that bit's it's not really true. I'm going to strike that down as a positive for Andy Burnham on that one. The other thing that keeps getting talked about is this homelessness figures. So, yeah, go on. What?
I'm fuming because I've long known that when he was the mayor of Manchester, people who actively worked with the homeless did not like him or what he was doing.
No.
To the best of my knowledge, the amount of homeless has actually risen.
Yes and no.
Okay. So same.
When he took, it's not basically. He promised to eradicate homelessness, which he did again last week. That was one of his policy things.
But he didn't in Manchester. So that's why I'm exactly. You can do that with the rest of the country, are you? Yeah.
Well, this is it, and so this is a big kind of cross against his name, because when he took over in 2017, there were, I can't remember, it's per head, 268 people sleeping rough every night in Manchester. It dropped to a low of 89 in 2021, but that was during COVID, and there was big, countrywide schemes of, getting everyone indoors during lockdowns and stuff like that. So when we were back to sort of more normal times, 2024, it had risen to 154 again, and then last year 197. So the trajectory is upwards. So he reduced it overall in, how many years was he there? 9 years. It was a reduction of 71 heads per night, but it's still about 200 people a night. Sorry, go on.
The trouble with homelessness is that it's not as simple as people just need somewhere to live.
No.
By the time you've got to a place in life where you're living on the streets, your Maslow's hierarchy of needs is out the fucking window, and you are by dint of where you are ill. because you are either suffering from something you have anyway, or you will have psychological illness as a result of what's driven you to end up on the streets.
Definitely.
And these people are broken and they need wraparound care. I've actually got some ideas before he even started mentioning all this, but that's another story. But they need psychologists, they need medical care, they need dental care, they need not re-education, I don't want to patronise them, but they need to be re-educated into society, much like I've had to do myself over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I've been so isolated and unwell, I've had to sort of, just doing things again, being human.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you just put them all into somewhere with a roof, they're just going to continue to have chaotic behaviours, and they can't help it because they don't even know they're doing it half the time.
Definitely.
And a lot of it is a result of addiction because they're using addiction to cope with their status in life, which is dire. So I don't know how sort of 360 degrees going about it. I need to probably look into it along with
it needs a fully holistic kind of view, doesn't it? Exactly that. And it's particularly the mental health aspect is the main point, I think, isn't it? Because as you say, most of it comes out I don't know what the figures are, if it's mostly addiction based or not, but there's certainly a massive proportion of homelessness.
Addiction comes after the psychological issues.
Yeah.
Addiction just makes it worse.
So you have to start at the root cause of the mental health issues at the beginning
with
of it
everything.
All. Well, with everything, which we say a lot, don't we? But so there is that. So his record on homelessness is not stellar whatsoever. So 268 people per night in 2017 to around 200 a night. It's not much of a reduction. So I'm afraid, Mr. Burnham, that is a negative cross in the box. So,
and with the best will in the world, you're talking about a few hundred people. You're not talking about 20,000.
Yeah, thousands and thousands. Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I find it so despicable, because it's such a small relative to the problems we have. It's such a small amount of people. It should have been done.
It should be easily taken care of. Yeah, I agree. Totally. A few other things. He bus reform, that's what he's well known for. He's created the B network in Manchester. That goes down as a strong success. Devolution, regional leadership, again, he did really, really well on that. Economic growth, I mean, I made a little chart, but but most of it was inherited from, previous incumbents. Police oversight. He had a massive. He ballsed it up big time at the beginning, but he kind of brought it back in the end. Rough sleeping.
GMC do not have a good reputation.
No, they don't. But was that who we talked to Laura about? Was it,
they killed a mate of mine, and that was because he worked for them.
Yeah, the GMP are not
decade
well,
on decade. They're diabolical. But anyway,
they're not well respected, are they? Housing. He kind of made a big kind of hoo-ha about public housing, affordable housing rather, like he's done again last week. He got a lot of houses built, but they're all really expensive. So there's very, very, very little affordable housing in Manchester,
specifically last week he was talking about social housing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
So has he had any social housing built in Manchester?
Very, very little. Very little. Yeah, exactly.
So it's continuity country, isn't it, basically?
Yeah, so the last thing was reducing deprivation, and he's kind of failed on that for the majority of Manchester and Greater Manchester as well. Some boroughs have had good limited success, but for the most part, like the poor boroughs of Manchester have remained poor and the wealthy ones have got wealthier, So a very mixed scorecard, I would say, with Andy Burnham's track record in Manchester. So
he's behaving like it's solid.
Yeah, and
like a disingenuous prick.
Well, that's the thing. He's been built up. This sort of coup, this hostile takeover, was all built on the fact that he's been this amazing mayor of Manchester, which sort of led me to look into it. And he's done some things
deeply
well.
Average.
Yeah, I think that's a fair representation. Very
doing
average.
Things well is his job. Just saying.
But the things where he needed to do well, he hasn't done well. So like the poverty, the housing, the rough sleeping, he's failed on those. Yeah, he's done well on devolution and kind of creating a bus network, which I would say are easy things. But the hard things, he's failed at. And that's my kind of overall picture, I think, on Andy Burnham in Manchester. So
it's not looking good in the long term, is it? We shall see. We're still sucking it, still seeing, but he keeps disappointing us day after day at the moment.
So far, Yeah, the welfare thing yesterday. Yeah, that was very
we'll do a bit about that at some point. I need to read up on it. But,
So that's that, I think, for this little mini episode about Andy Burnham in Manchester. But go and check us out, our full episode, which will be out. It is also on YouTube. It's linked to it's linked through in the notes of this one. So yeah, thanks for listening on that, and we'll be back very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.